All right, so you're prepping for a leather goods industrial engineer interview, and you want to walk in feeling like you could just ace it. Well, that's exactly what this deep dive is for. Your shortcut to seriously impressive prep. We're going to be going through all these awesome resources from RoleCatcher. Career guides, interview guides, even their AI tools. And by the time we're done, you're going to be able to answer those interview questions, not just with surface level answers, but with the kind of depth that makes you stand out from the crowd.
It's amazing. RoleCatcher doesn't just give you the same old generic advice. They've really put in the work, figuring out what makes candidates successful, and then built all that knowledge into their system.
It really is. It's like having a data-driven career coach in your corner. And since we're talking about data, let's talk about their AI, because this is where things get really interesting. This AI actually analyzes job descriptions. It compares them to your resume. And then it basically tells you exactly what skills you should be highlighting, or even what skills you might want to think about adding to your resume. And it tailors all of this to each specific job that you're applying for. So you're not just sending out the same generic resume and hoping for the best.
That is so valuable, especially in such a competitive job market. Think about how many times you've sent out a resume and wondered if it even made it past those initial screenings. With RoleCatcher's AI, you take all that guesswork out of it.
Exactly. Okay, so you've used the AI to polish that resume.
Okay.
Now let's get to the actual interview itself. RoleCatcher gives us a bunch of potential questions, and that's what we're going to dive into. But again, not just with surface-level answers. We're going to uncover what the interviewer is really looking for with each of these questions and how to craft responses that really make you stand out.
Yeah, they don't just want textbook definitions or generic examples. They want to see how you think, how you approach challenges, especially the ones specific to leather goods production, and ultimately how you can contribute to their company.
That's it. So let's jump into one of the common questions that they highlight. Describe your experience with implementing lean manufacturing principles in a leather goods manufacturing environment. Sounds pretty straightforward. But trust me, there's a lot they're looking for beneath the surface.
Absolutely. They want to see more than just a list of projects you've worked on. It's all about showcasing your problem-solving skills, but in action. So did you identify any bottlenecks? Did you streamline workflows, reduce waste? And the key here is, can you tie all that back to the unique challenges of working with leather?
Okay, so instead of just saying, oh, I implemented lean principles on this project, you could say something like, we were facing excessive waste during the hide cutting process. By analyzing the workflow, I realized. And then you'd explain the specific bottleneck you found. And then you'd say, by implementing. And then explain the solution that you came up with. We were able to reduce material waste by 15%. Now, those numbers, they make your impact crystal clear.
Exactly. And quantifying your achievements like that, it shows them you understand the bottom line, which is always important in a manufacturing environment. Now, what if they follow up with something like, what were some of the challenges you faced in implementing those changes, and how did you overcome them?
Well, that's a good one. This is where you can show them that you can anticipate and address resistance to change. You could talk about how you involved the workers in the process, addressed their concerns, provided training to make sure the transition went smoothly. And you know what's really cool? RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you tailor this answer to that specific company's culture. So for example, if the company really emphasizes teamwork, you can highlight how you fostered collaboration during that implementation process.
It's all about connecting the dots and showing how your experience aligns with their values. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about another key area they might ask about. How do you ensure quality control in the production of leather goods? Again, it seems simple on the surface, but there's a lot to unpack.
For sure. It's not just about saying quality is important. They want to see that you understand the nuances of working with leather, the variations in texture, the potential for imperfections, the specific quality standards for different kinds of leather goods.
Exactly. So you could talk about implementing really rigorous inspection procedures at every stage, from checking the hides for flaws, all the way to testing the finished product, for durability and consistency. But don't stop there. Go deeper. Talk about specific tools or techniques that you've used, like maybe you've implemented a digital imaging system to detect those really subtle imperfections in the leather, the kind that a human eye might miss.
Oh, that's a good one. Or maybe you've introduced statistical process control to monitor variations in the manufacturing process and catch any deviations early on. And here's where you can really impress them. Tie your experience back to the specific types of leather goods that the company produces. So if they specialize in high-end handbags, talk about the unique quality control measures for those products.
Exactly. It's all about tailoring your answers to their needs, showing them you've done your research. Now, what if they follow up with, can you give an example of a time you had to troubleshoot a quality control issue? This is your chance to really shine a spotlight on your analytical skills.
Definitely. You could talk about a time when you noticed a sudden increase in defects, maybe in a batch of leather wallets. Walk them through your entire problem-solving process, how you gathered the data, analyzed the trends, involved different team members to find that root cause.
Did you consider things like variations in the leather itself,
Yeah.
machine malfunctions, human error, and then how did you implement a solution to prevent that issue from happening again?
It's all about being specific and showing your thought process. And you know what's really cool? RoleCatcher has this AI-powered video practice tool. You can actually record yourself answering this question, and the AI will give you feedback on your delivery, your pacing, your tone, everything. It's like having a personal coach to help you refine your presentation and come across as confident and articulate.
Yeah, it's not just about what you say, it's how you say it. That confidence can make a world of difference. Okay, so let's move on to another common question. How do you manage production schedules to ensure timely delivery of orders? This one's all about your organizational and planning skills.
And your ability to handle the pressure, especially with tight deadlines, which is really common in this industry, especially with those seasonal demands.
Right.
And the potentially long lead times for materials.
For sure. So you want to talk about your experience using project management software to track deadlines, communicate with different teams, adjust schedules as needed. But again, don't just list the software. Give them a concrete example, like maybe you implemented a system to prioritize those urgent orders or developed a contingency plan for those unexpected disruptions in the supply chain.
And this is another great opportunity to really showcase your knowledge of the leather goods industry. You can mention some of the challenges related to sourcing the leather or managing production for different types of products. Like maybe certain hides need to be treated in a specific way. That adds extra time to the production process. And you had to figure out how to factor that into the schedule. Details like that. They show that you really understand the intricacies of this industry.
Those details really make a difference. Okay, so what if they follow up with something like, can you describe a time when you had to adjust a production schedule to meet a really tight deadline? How did you handle it? This is where they're going to be looking for those problem-solving skills and your ability to perform under pressure. Did you find areas where you could expedite certain processes, but without sacrificing quality? Did you communicate those changes effectively to the team and get everyone on board and motivated to meet that new deadline?
All great insights. And again, don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze that specific job description and actually suggest additional points to highlight or areas to really focus on based on that company's priorities. It's like having a personalized guide to help you craft the most impactful responses.
It really is a game changer, especially for someone who's serious about landing this role. Okay, let's move on to another question that often comes up. Can you give an example of a time you had to troubleshoot a problem in the production process?
This one was a classic interview question.
Yeah.
But it's especially relevant in a field like industrial engineering, where problem solving is such a core skill. They want to hear a story. That shows your ability to think critically, analyze a situation, and come up with a solution, especially when you're facing a challenge that's unique to the leather goods production process.
Absolutely. It's not just about identifying the problem. It's about understanding why it happened in the first place. What caused that issue? Was it a machine malfunction, a design flaw, maybe human error? And then how did you go about actually fixing it? Did you bring in other team members, consult industry experts, experiment with different solutions?
They're looking for evidence of that analytical process and your ability to think creatively. And again, tailoring your response to the leather goods industry is key. So let's say you were faced with a sudden increase in defects, maybe in a batch of leather bags. Did you investigate the leather supplier, the tanning process, the stitching techniques?
All excellent points. Now, what if they follow that up with, what did you learn from this experience and how did you apply those lessons to future projects? This is where you really show them your ability to reflect, learn, and grow. Did you put new quality control measures in place? Did you improve communication protocol? Did you refine your problem-solving approach?
They want to see that you're not just fixing problems, but you're learning from them and becoming a better engineer overall. It's about that commitment to continuous improvement.
All right, one last question before we move on. What is your experience with CAD software for designing leather goods?
This one is all about your technical skills
Yeah.
and showing them you understand how CAD software is used, specifically in the leather goods industry.
Right. It's not enough to just list the software you've used. They want to know how you've actually applied it to real projects. Did you design a new handbag line? Create 3D models of leather accessories? Develop patterns for more complex leather goods?
And remember, you can use RoleCatcher's AI to tailor your answer here too. The AI can actually analyze that job description and figure out which CAD skills are most relevant to that particular role. So maybe they're looking for someone with experience in 3D modeling or
Yeah.
someone who's proficient in a specific CAD software that's used in the leather goods industry. By highlighting those relevant skills, you're showing them that you're the perfect fit.
Yeah, it's all about demonstrating that you have the specific skills they're looking for. Okay, so that covers some of the key technical questions they might throw at you. We'll dive into some more in the next section. Now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about something that RoleCatcher really emphasizes, making sure that those production processes are compliant with all those environmental and safety regulations. This is huge in manufacturing these days, and they're really looking for someone who gets it.
Yeah, it's not just about making a great product, it's about making it responsibly. They want to see that you're aware of the industry standards, the environmental impact of leather production, and all the safety protocols involved.
Exactly. So instead of just saying safety is a priority, you want to talk about specific measures you've actually implemented, like maybe you spearheaded a waste reduction program, or championed the use of eco-friendly chemicals, or made sure there was proper ventilation and safety equipment in the facility.
Oh, that's a good one. Or maybe you have experience with conducting safety audits, training employees on procedures, or even staying up to date on the latest environmental regulations. It shows you're proactive and knowledgeable.
It really does. And this is where you can connect it to the bigger picture. Remember, RoleCatcher's career guide talks about the growing demand for sustainable practices in the leather goods industry. So you can mention how you would incorporate those principles into your work.
Yeah, like maybe you've been researching new tanning methods that use less water, or you're interested in exploring plant-based leather alternatives. Showing that you're thinking ahead about these issues can really make you stand out.
Yeah. It really shows you're thinking long term. Now, what if they follow up with something like, how would you balance the need for sustainability with cost effectiveness in production? This is where you show them that you can think strategically.
Ooh, that's a tough one. But I think you could talk about conducting a cost-benefit analysis of those different sustainable options, or exploring ways to reduce waste. That actually also saved the company money. Like maybe you've implemented a system to recycle scrap leather, or partnered with suppliers who use sustainable practices.
It's all about finding those win-win solutions. Now let's move on to another area where you can really showcase your skills. Working with suppliers, they might ask you something like, how do you ensure that the materials you're getting meet quality standards and are delivered on time?
That's a good one. This question is all about those communication and negotiation skills, and of course your problem-solving skills. They want to know that you can build those strong relationships with suppliers, communicate your requirements clearly, and then resolve any issues that come up along the way.
Exactly. So start by talking about how you establish clear quality specifications for that leather, maybe even implementing a grading system, and then talk about how you conduct supplier audits to make sure they're meeting those standards.
Yeah, and you could even mention implementing a system to track deliveries and address any delays proactively. Like maybe you set up a system of automated alerts, or you have regular check-ins with suppliers, just to make sure everything's running smoothly.
Those are really smart strategies. And don't forget about the negotiation aspect. You can talk about how you've successfully negotiated favorable pricing and delivery terms while still maintaining those strong relationships with your suppliers.
It's all about finding that balance. So what if they say, tell me about a time a supplier failed to meet your quality standards? How did you handle it?
This is where you show them how you handle those real-world problems. Did you work with the supplier to figure out what caused the issue? Did you negotiate a replacement shipment? Did you have to explore alternative suppliers? The key is to show that you took charge of the situation and found a solution that minimized any disruptions to the production process.
It's all about taking ownership and finding that solution. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze that specific company's supply chain and suggest additional points you might want to highlight based on their industry, their location, or even past challenges they've faced with suppliers.
It's about showing them you've done your homework
Yeah.
and that you understand their specific needs. All right, let's talk about another question that's becoming increasingly important in the leather goods industry. What is your experience with implementing new technology in a manufacturing environment?
This one's all about showing your adaptability and your willingness to embrace innovation. Because let's face it, the leather goods industry is changing. With new technologies like automation and robotics becoming more and more common, they want to know that you can keep up and even lead the way.
Right, so think about any experience you have with introducing new technology into a manufacturing setting. Maybe you led a project to implement a computerized cutting system or introduced RFID tracking for inventory management.
Oh, those are good examples. Did you play a role in training employees on how to use that new technology and making sure the transition went smoothly? Did you analyze the impact of the technology on things like efficiency, cost, and quality?
Those are all really important points to highlight. Now, what if they ask you, what are some emerging technologies in the leather goods industry that you're really excited about?
Oh, that's a fun one. This is where you can really impress them. With your knowledge and your vision for the future of the industry, have you been reading about 3D printing of leather,
Laser engravings?
smart factories?
Yeah, show them that you're not just keeping up with the trends, but you're actually thinking about how to use those trends to improve processes, create innovative products, and really drive the industry forward. And don't forget, RoleCatcher's Career Guide can give you some really valuable insights into those most in-demand technologies in the leather goods industry, so you can tailor your answer to what companies are actively looking for.
So smart. It's all about showing them that you're not just a problem solver,
Yeah,
but a forward-thinking innovator.
exactly. Okay, let's switch gears a bit and talk about a question that assesses your leadership and people management skills. How do you manage and develop a team of production workers? This is a crucial part of the role because you're going to be responsible for leading and motivating a team to achieve those production goals.
Yeah, they want to know about your leadership style,
Yeah.
your ability to motivate others, and your approach to creating a really positive and productive work environment.
So start by talking about your experience with setting clear performance goals and providing regular feedback to your team members to help them grow and develop their skills. Did you implement any training programs?
That's a good one. Maybe you created a system for recognizing and rewarding achievements, or fostered a culture of teamwork and collaboration.
Those are all great examples. Now, what if they follow up with, tell me about a time you had to address a performance issue with a team member. How did you handle that?
Ooh, that's a tough one. But it's a really important one, because it shows them how you handle those difficult conversations. Did you approach the situation with empathy and understanding?
Exactly. Did you clearly communicate those performance expectations and provide support to help that team member improve? Did you document the conversation and follow up regularly to track their progress?
It's all about showing that you can be both a supportive leader and someone who holds their team accountable for meeting those standards. And you know what? This is another area where RoleCatcher's AI can be incredibly helpful. Their AI can analyze the company's culture and suggest leadership styles that are most likely to be successful in that specific environment.
It's all about adapting your approach to fit their needs and showing them that you can be a cultural fit as well as a technical fit. All right, let's move on to some of those more general interview questions that you're likely to encounter. These questions might not be specific to the leather goods industry, but they're still important opportunities to showcase your personality, your motivations, and your overall suitability for the role. So a very common question is, what are your salary expectations?
Oh yeah, this one can be a bit tricky, but RoleCatcher gives some really good advice. They suggest researching the average salary range for leather goods industrial engineers in your area, and for companies that are similar in size and scope.
That's a great starting point. That way you go into the interview with a realistic number in mind, and you avoid pricing yourself out of the market or undervaluing your skills and experience.
Right, and don't be afraid to negotiate. If you're confident in your qualifications, and you bring a lot to the table, be ready to justify your salary expectations.
Absolutely. Now, what if they follow up with, what other factors are important to you besides salary?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
This is your chance to talk about things like work-life balance,
Right.
opportunities for professional development, or the company's culture and values.
Yeah, it's about showing them that you're not just focused on the paycheck. You're looking for a company that aligns with your goals and priorities. And you know what's really cool? RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you identify companies that are a good fit based on your preferences.
Really?
Yeah, their AI can look at things like company reviews, employee feedback, all sorts of data to help you find companies that prioritize the things that are important to you. It's like having a personal headhunter.
That's amazing. Okay, so another common question. Why are you interested in this role? It seems straightforward, but This is your chance to really shine and show them that you've done your research.
Exactly. Don't just give them a generic answer like, I'm passionate about manufacturing. Dig a little deeper. Talk about why you're interested in the leather goods industry specifically. Are you drawn to the craftsmanship, the history,
Yeah.
the challenge of working with such a unique material?
Yeah, and you can mention specific things about the company too, like their products, their reputation for quality, their commitment to sustainability, their innovative approach to manufacturing. Show them that you've done your homework and that you're genuinely excited about the prospect of working for this company.
Absolutely. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze the company's website, their mission statement, even their recent news articles, to help you identify key points to highlight in your answer.
So you can tailor your response to their specific values
Yeah.
and show them you'd be a good cultural fit.
Exactly. Now, what if they follow up with, what are your long-term career goals? This is where you show your ambition and your vision for your future. So don't be afraid to share your aspirations. Do you see yourself moving into a management role, specializing in a particular area of leather goods production? Maybe pursuing further education or certifications?
Yeah, whatever your goals are, make sure they align with the opportunities available at that company. And this is where RoleCatcher's Career Guide can be so helpful. They provide insights into those typical career paths for leather goods industrial engineers, as well as information on relevant certifications and professional development opportunities. So you can use all of this information to show the interviewer that you're thinking about your future and that you see yourself growing with the company.
It shows you're invested in the long term. Okay, let's tackle one of those classic interview questions. What are your greatest weaknesses? I know no one likes talking about their weaknesses, but this question is really designed to see how self-aware you are and how you approach personal growth.
Yeah, the key here is to choose a weakness that isn't critical to the job, and then explain how you're actively working to improve in that area. So maybe you're not the most outgoing person, but you've been taking steps to improve your communication skills. Maybe you've joined a public speaking group or taken a leadership course.
Or maybe you tend to get bogged down in the details, but you've been working on delegating tasks more effectively and focusing on the bigger picture. It's all about showing them that you're willing to acknowledge your areas for improvement and that you're actively taking steps to develop yourself.
That growth mindset is so important. And again, RoleCatcher's AI can help you here too. It can analyze the job description and identify those essential skills and qualities that are absolutely critical for success in that position.
That way you can avoid highlighting a weakness. That might actually raise red flags for the interviewer. It's about being strategic and presenting yourself in the best possible light.
Makes sense. All right, let's tackle another one of those tough questions. Tell me about a time you failed. Again, nobody really enjoys talking about their failures, but we all make mistakes. What the interviewer really wants to see here is how you handle setbacks, what you learn from them, and how you apply those lessons to future challenges.
So choose a failure that isn't too major or embarrassing, maybe a project that didn't go as planned, or a decision that didn't have the outcome you were hoping for.
Right. And then explain what you learned from that experience and how it's made you a better engineer. Did you realize the importance of better planning, more effective communication, seeking feedback from others?
It's about showing them that you're not afraid to take risks, that you learn from your mistakes, and that you're always striving to improve. And here's a tip from RoleCatcher. They suggest framing your failure as a learning opportunity and highlighting the positive changes that you made as a result.
Turn that negative into a positive.
Exactly. Show them that growth mindset.
I love that. Okay, I think we've covered a pretty good range of potential questions here. But before we wrap up this section, I want to emphasize something that RoleCatcher really highlights: the importance of asking questions at the end of the interview.
Oh, that's such a good point. Asking thoughtful questions. It not only shows that you're engaged and curious, but it also gives you a chance to gather more information about the company, the team, and the role itself. It's your opportunity to really figure out if this is the right fit for you.
So what are some good questions to ask?
Well, you could ask about the company's vision for the future of leather goods manufacturing, their approach to sustainability, their investment in new technologies, their plans for growth and expansion.
Or you could ask about the company's culture, their values, their leadership style, what they look for in their employees. Or maybe you're curious about the specific projects or challenges that you would be working on in this role.
And asking about things like opportunities for professional development, mentorship programs, career advancement. That shows that you're ambitious and eager to grow with the company.
And don't forget those practical questions. It's totally okay to ask about things like the benefits package, the vacation policy work-life balance initiatives, or even relocation assistance, if that's applicable.
All of those questions show that you're serious about the role and that you're thinking about all aspects of the opportunity. And here's a tip from RoleCatcher. They suggest preparing a list of questions in advance, but don't be afraid to deviate from that list if something else comes up during the conversation.
Yeah, the key is to be genuinely curious and engage. And remember, asking questions isn't just about gathering information. It's also about making a good impression, showing the interviewer that you're thoughtful and insightful.
Absolutely. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about how to prepare for those common interview questions, how to showcase your skills and experience, how to research the company and the industry, and how to use RoleCatcher's AI tools to your advantage.
But there's one final piece of the puzzle that we need to address. The elephant in the room, so to speak.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is it?
Sustainability. It's a topic that's becoming more and more important in every industry. And the leather goods industry is no exception. And RoleCatcher's career guide actually specifically mentions this, the increasing demand for environmentally friendly practices in the leather goods industry. It's not just some passing trend. It's like a major shift in consumer values.
Yeah.
And a real business imperative.
Oh, absolutely. Consumers are so much more aware now about the impact their purchases have on the environment, and companies are definitely responding to that. They're looking for people who can help them navigate this whole new landscape.
Which is where you come in. As a potential leather goods industrial engineer, this isn't just something to mention briefly. It's a chance to really showcase your vision
Yeah.
and your commitment to responsible manufacturing.
I think that's such a good point. They might not come right now and ask you, how would you make our leather goods production more sustainable? But every question they ask about efficiency, waste reduction, material sourcing, even new technologies. It's an opening to demonstrate that you're thinking about sustainability.
It's like weaving that thread through all your answers, so they see that you're not just focused on the bottom line.
Exactly.
So for example, when you're talking about lean manufacturing, you could highlight how you've reduced waste in the past and minimize the use of any harmful chemicals.
Yeah, or when you're talking about supply chain management, you could mention partnering with suppliers who have strong sustainability practices.
And when you get to those questions about new technologies, you can talk about exploring innovations like waterless tanning or plant-based leather alternatives.
It's all about showing them that you're not just aware of the trends, you're actively looking for ways to make sustainability a core part of your work.
And that makes you stand out.
Right.
As someone who's forward-thinking.
Right. Someone who can help them navigate this changing industry.
Okay, so let's say they do ask you directly about sustainability. Like, what are some of the biggest environmental challenges facing the leather goods industry? And how would you address them as a leather goods industrial engineer?
All right, well, this is your time to shine. You can talk about things like water consumption during the tanning process, the use of hazardous chemicals, waste generation, even the carbon footprint of transportation and logistics.
But don't just list the problems. Offer some solutions.
Exactly.
So maybe you've researched some innovative tanning methods that use way less water, or explored alternative materials that have a lower environmental impact.
Or maybe you've implemented waste reduction programs in your previous roles. Or you have ideas for improving the company's recycling and upcycling initiatives.
It's about showing them you're a problem solver and that you're committed to finding those sustainable solutions.
And this is where RoleCatcher's AI can really give you an edge, because it can analyze that specific company's sustainability initiatives, their environmental goals, even their public statements on this topic.
So you can really tailor your responses to their priorities. And show them that you understand their commitment to sustainability.
You're not just talking about it in general, you're talking about how you can contribute to their journey.
It's about being that valuable partner.
Exactly.
All right, before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier, that AI-powered video practice tool from RoleCatcher.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. It's so helpful for refining those interview skills and just boosting your confidence overall.
You can record yourself answering all those tough questions and get feedback on your delivery, your pacing, even your body language. It's like having your own personal interview coach.
And what makes it even better is that you can tailor it to the specific job you're applying for.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the AI will analyze the job description, the company culture, even the interviewer's LinkedIn profile, and give you personalized feedback.
So it's not just generic advice. It's specifically designed to help you nail that interview.
Exactly.
And you know what else is really cool? The AI can even analyze the interviewer's past interviews and identify any patterns in their questioning style.
Oh, wow. So you can anticipate what they might ask?
Yeah, like the types of questions they like to ask,
Sure.
the follow-up questions they might have, even their communication style.
That's incredible. It's like being able to read their mind.
It's all about being as prepared as possible, and RoleCatcher gives you the tools to do that. Okay, so to recap, we've explored the key questions you'll probably face in that leather goods industrial engineer interview. We've talked about strategies for crafting really strong responses, and we've highlighted how those resources from RoleCatcher can give you a real advantage in the hiring process.
But don't forget the most important thing. Be yourself. Be authentic. Show them your passion for the industry, and let your knowledge and enthusiasm shine through.
That's it. Be confident, be prepared, and most importantly, be excited about this opportunity. You got this
Yeah.